Far from the traffic of St George's Terrace and the milling crowds of Hay Street Mall is Perth's quiet, almost forgotten Forrestdale Lake. Forrestdale Lake is also a long way from the inner city Lake Munga and others because it hasn't been highly modified. It's a kind of window to see back to what our wetlands must have looked like when European settlers first arrived here. For this and other reasons, Forrestdale Lake Nature Reserve is one of WA's most important conservation reserves. It's especially significant as a wetland habitat, as it regularly supports more than 10,000 waterbirds. Located on Perth's southern fringes and on the western edge of the city of Armidale, the reserve will increasingly come under urban pressures over the next 30 years. It's a valuable and vulnerable outer city wildlife sanctuary, which will need to be carefully conserved like Herdsman's Lake, its inner city sister. It's also the largest lake in the southern metropolitan area. Forrestdale Lake was formerly known as Jandakot Lake, which means place of whistling eagle or kite in the Aboriginal language of the area. The name was changed in 1974 to bring it in line with the name of the area, chosen earlier to honour WA's then Premier, Sir John Forrest. Besides its conservation values, Forrestdale Lake is also very important for Aboriginal people who believe the lake is home to a powerful woggle. Woggle beliefs, which are widespread throughout the southwest, refer to a water creative force with a serpentine physical manifestation. In the case of Forrestdale Lake, it's forbidden to disturb the native reeds around the lake's edge, as this could unleash the woggle's destructive power. This Indigenous tradition needs to be respected, and this can best be done by ensuring the lake's conservation and by education about its Aboriginal significance. The Indigenous people use the area as a summering place for thousands of years. The availability of water, the variety and quantity of food, and the open Banksia woodlands all provided a comfortable resting place for the semi-nomadic kinship groups as they moved seasonally between the Darling Range and the coast. As a result, Forrestdale Lake has been registered as an Aboriginal site of significance by the WA Museum, and so comes under the protection of the WA Aboriginal Heritage Act. Europeans first settled the area in 1885, after William and Alfred Skeet were granted a special occupation licence for 100 acres near the lake. Around the lake at the time were huge paper barks, some as tall as 10 metres and 1 metre in diameter. Other families, such as the Dumsdays, moved into the area in 1892. The James family has been living on the west side of the lake since the 1940s, and some members are actively involved in its conservation today, including David James, who's been living by the lake for more than 40 years. In the 1940s, the west side of Forrestdale Lake was heavily grazed by sheep and cattle. During dry summers, most landowners turned out their stock regularly around the lake to supplement feed from their paddocks. As a result, this side of the lake is devoid of most natural understory plants and is infested with weeds and other exotic plants, particularly arum lilies. Forrestdale Lake is best known for its bird life. It's the third most important wetland reserve in southwestern Australia for variety and number of bird species. The highest count was nearly 17,500 birds in January 1983. 71 species of waterbirds have been recorded at the lake, including the long-toed stint, which migrates from Siberia. As well as waterbirds, 74 species of bush birds have been sighted in its fringing vegetation, including the splendid fairy wren. As the lake usually starts to dry up in late summer, thousands of wading birds descend to feed on the abundant food found in its shallow waters. This is what makes Forrestdale Lake so different from the other deeper lakes in the metropolitan area. Forrestdale Lake is a birdwatcher's delight in late summer, when it becomes a refuge as other more seasonal wetlands dry up. 14 of the bird species found on the lake are protected under the Japan-Australia Migratory Bird Agreement. In recognition of its value as a waterbird habitat, Forrestdale Lake was nominated in 1990 for inclusion on the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands of International Importance. This convention binds the signatory nations to promote the conservation of nominated wetlands and the wise use of all its wetlands. Forrestdale Lake is one of only 9 wetlands to be nominated in WA, and one of only 2 in the Perth metropolitan area, the other being Thomson's Lake. The nature conservation values of Forrestdale Lake and its immediate surrounds were first recognised in 1957, when it was gazetted as an A-class nature reserve. Its natural heritage values for the whole of Australia saw it placed on the initial register of the National Estate in 1978. Its regional importance was acknowledged in 1983, when it was recommended that it be incorporated into a regional park. Some steps have been taken in this direction, with the acquisition of land to the southwest of the nature reserve by the Department of Planning and Urban Development. Vested in the National Parks and Nature Conservation Authority, Forrestdale Lake Nature Reserve is managed by the Department of Conservation and Land Management. A formal management plan was published in 1987 and is currently being implemented. It addresses some of the main problems currently facing the reserve, such as controlling access by horses and vehicles, stemming the spread of the introduced bulrush, and managing midge population explosions. The management plan also recommended the formation of a Friends of Forrestdale volunteer group with the Department of Conservation and Land Management. The main aim of the group was to act as informal guardians or honorary wardens. Such a group was launched in 1990 and now meets bi-monthly, alternating between activities such as bush regeneration and the formulation of submissions on management and policy issues. New members are always needed and always welcome.